We humans have an immense appetite for complicated things. It seems to be woven into our very DNA. We're drawn to the grand mysteries of neuroscience, astrophysics, and molecular biology. Of course. But our fascination doesn't stop there. We seek out barely decipherable books, abstract works of art that challenge our perceptions, and avant-garde pieces of theater without a clear plot or recognizable characters. It's as if, by engaging with these complexities, we are touching upon the primordial puzzles of the universe and our own, always ineffable, existence within it. We equate complexity with depth, with substance, with something worthy of our time and intellect. But this veneration for complexity can reach its most painful, time-consuming, and utterly futile zenith in one area in particular, our relationships. It's here, in the landscape of the heart, that we find otherwise discerning, successful, and hard-headed people exhibiting an almost saintly patience often lasting over a succession of tormented years for what can only be described as complicated situations. These complexities often arise from a familiar set of dynamics. First, there is the beloved partner who wants to commit and surely will one day. But not quite yet. There is always a reason. It might be on account of this or that factor, their career isn't settled. They need to find themselves first. The timing just isn't perfect. Or perhaps it's not entirely because of certain deep-seated psychological fears they are still working through. Their commitment is never a firm no. But it's also never a firm yes. It's a perpetual maybe. A state of emotional limbo. They may tell you they need space, freedom, or what they call a chance to explore, though what precisely they need to explore remains a mystery. A vague concept that is never fully defined. Even though you have asked them, gently and patiently, on many, many occasions. Then, there's the partner with whom there are endless misunderstandings. This is a relationship that feels like a conversational minefield. Around this person, words often lose their standard meanings and take on a dozen hidden interpretations. A simple compliment can be seen as a backhanded insult. An expression of need can be twisted into an accusation. You may have to spend hours, even days, untangling what was truly meant by a single sentence. Gestures or deeds that you previously thought were universally positive, like planning a surprise or offering help, suddenly become the occasion for major, surprising aggravations. You find yourself walking on eggshells, constantly replaying conversations in your head, trying to preempt the next verbal trap. Or consider the partner who, in principle, is there for you and, in theory, loves you very, very much. The idea of their love is beautiful. But in actuality, like last week, and the week before that, and the month before that, they are constantly, remarkably busy. They are unable to respond to your texts for hours or even days at a time. They are always out with their compelling, fascinating friends, or completely absorbed by their always extremely demanding job. Their life seems to be a whirlwind of important obligations that, coincidentally, never seem to include you in a consistent or meaningful way. Their love exists as a beautiful theory, but it rarely translates into the practical, day-to-day currency of presence and attention. And then there's the partner with whom you become an amateur therapist. You sit up late at night on many occasions, often with a notepad and pen in hand as if studying for an exam, attempting to map out the relationship's problems. You try to determine where the issues are coming from, what psychological forces are at play, and how things might be handled differently next time. The conversations are circular, exhausting, and rarely lead to a resolution. Baffled and upset, you finally have to retreat to bed a little after 1 a.m. Feeling fragile, unheard, and tearful, only to repeat the same ritual a few weeks later. Perhaps most painfully, there is the partner we find ourselves discussing at almost every turn with our close friends and our therapist. Your relationship becomes a full-time analytical project. With concentrated energy, you and your support system speculate on what drives them. Who might they really be? Behind the mask. Why do they do what they do? How could their childhood have affected them? What is their attachment style? Are they avoidant? Anxious? What could their most recent confusing antic or ambiguous text message truly mean? All the while, you are peering at them as if they were a mysterious nebula in an outer galaxy, whose workings would occupy the minds of the most erudite and sophisticated astronomers. You've become an expert on them, but you still feel no closer to understanding them. This kind of partner often leaves us wondering whether we are not, in fact, fundamentally daft and broken. We begin poring over all that we may have done wrong without meaning to. Have we offended them? Are we too demanding? Have we exhibited too little patience for their unique ways of thinking? Perhaps, as they've told us in moments of frustration, we just want too much. Maybe, as they subtly hint, we're being unreasonable or too sensitive. We may never have felt more odd, more insecure, or more damaged to ourselves than when we are around this special target of our affection. All of this, society and our cultural scripts sometimes seem to tell us, can just be what love is. We're taught that no relationship is easy. No human is simple. Everything worthwhile needs hard work. Movies and songs romanticize the turbulent, passionate struggle. And it's precisely because all of this is so often very true that we can fail to notice when, on other occasions, it has ceased to be so. It is when these sensible mantras about effort have subtly and dangerously turned into excuses for endless patience with people who are, quite simply, entirely unsuited to the business of mutual, reciprocal love. To dampen some of our risky enthusiasm for emotional complexity, we might remind ourselves of a broad principle operating in relationships that we can term grandly the rule of simplicity. This rule states that when two people are adequately mature, who have what it takes to function emotionally, and who have feasible propositions for one another, love will overall, taken with perspective, be simple. This doesn't mean it will be boring or without challenges. Yes, there will be certain difficult conversations to be had every now and then, a few tricky moments, and a constant requirement for practical effort. But in its essence, there will be a profound simplicity at play. Because a few fundamentals are securely in place at the heart of the union, they know how to and want to love us. And we know how to and want to love them. That's why, in a simple and healthy relationship, they will pretty much always show up on time, or let you know if they're running late. They answer text messages promptly, not because they are obligated to, but because connecting with you is a natural part of their day. They communicate clearly. They are proud of you and tell their friends and family about you. They make you feel wanted, calm, and sure of your position. This simplicity is not boring. It is the solid, peaceful foundation upon which you can build a life. It's the secure base from which you can go out into the world and be your best self, knowing you have a safe harbor to return to. It allows you to go to bed at a sensible hour, without checking your phone one last time for a message that may or may not come. Anything less is, we might generalize, a strong indication of something else. Quite what that something else is may be a matter for speculation lasting several centuries. It could be a childhood trauma, a deep-seated fear of intimacy, a mental condition, a consequence of our own misfounded appetites, or the result of a tricky bond with a mother or father. But maybe, and this is the most liberating part, we don't, in the end, need to know precisely what's at work. Maybe we can, to follow the rule of simplicity, just read the overwhelming complexity itself as the only answer we need. And the answer is, we shouldn't be here. It might be time to stop glorifying the questions. Where were they? What do they mean? When will they call? If they love us, we will know it. If they want to be there, they will show up. There is only so complicated a relationship ever needs to be. When it's viable, love is, all told, fairly obvious and very easy. If we find ourselves in a union where we're up all night writing journal entries or peering through a metaphorical telescope at the latest ambiguous signal, it might be nothing more or less than proof that we have outrun the patience that we should fairly be exhibiting towards any human being. Or, to follow our rule of simplicity and to speak more directly, we may just need to get out. Now. And this is where the truly beautiful part of the story begins. Choosing to leave a complicated situation isn't an admission of failure. It is an act of profound self-respect. The first few days or weeks might feel quiet, even empty. You've spent so much energy analyzing, decoding, and worrying that the sudden peace can feel unsettling. But then, slowly, something wonderful happens. You start to hear your own thoughts again. You remember the hobbies you let slide, the friends you only ever talked to about your relationship problems. You start pouring all of that incredible, concentrated energy back into the most important project of all, yourself. You rediscover what makes you laugh, what you are passionate about, and what it feels like to live without a constant knot of anxiety in your stomach. You learn that a partner should be an addition to your life, not a puzzle that consumes it. By choosing simplicity, you are not giving up on love. You are finally making space for a love that is clear, kind, and deeply nourishing. A love that doesn't require a detective and a constant investigation. A love that feels less like a complex equation to be solved and more like a safe harbor. A warm home. A quiet, steady, and beautifully simple truth. That is the love you deserve. And that is the love that is waiting for you. If this message resonated with you, and you're interested in exploring more ideas about living a wiser, more fulfilling emotional life, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more content that helps us navigate the complexities of our hearts and minds. Thank you for watching.